In update 19.10, they added a new Sentinel, which is available blueprint-wise on the Venus Junction. It'll eventually pop up in the bottom left there. This is classed as the baby Sentinel. This should be the first Sentinel as a new player that you can actually get within the game. And there he is, the Taxon blueprint. If you've already done this junction, then you will more than likely have gotten this message from the Lotus that says recent excavators near Earth have blah 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 blah. Blueprint for Taxon. Hopefully he's never really added in here as a Sentinel that you can buy, because it will have it down as the first Sentinel that you should get. And it's not really that expensive to build him for 500 ferrite, 200 polymer bundle, 200 rubido, €1, and it takes a day to actually build it. But the fact that this guy replenishes shields, or as it puts, protects its owner with shield restoration, this could be really useful Sentinel, even though it's meant to be the first Sentinel that you actually get a hold of. See, 24 hours. I wonder how much platinum it is to rush this. I don't want to rush this, but I will, because I don't think I'm going to be around when he's ready. It's ready. It was actually interesting, seeing as it was a giant X, as to where the wings would actually fit. And I didn't think they would fit in that position. I mean, you can see where they go on, same with the tail will go on the back. So they don't actually look that bad, though. Things like masks, yeah, some of these just look straight up weird. And I still think that one probably fits it the best, because it matches the back of it. So it kind of stretches it out a bit. Of course, it comes with the 4 normal polarities for abilities and the like, but unfortunately none in the middle, so fitting health, shields, things like that is going to be kind of a big problem. Is Guardian even actually worth it, considering you have the whole... Wow. It converts damage into the shield's Warframe. That's pretty cool, actually. That works slightly better than I expected. So that mixed with Guardian itself, and I just realised what I did there. I meant to put that over there. That mixed with Guardian could be really useful, and then obviously if you stick something like Mediray in here as well, it's going to be even stronger, because it's going to heal health and shields. Even the weapon that comes with it that shoots the ice beam thing has no polarities on it, but does use rifle mods though, considering it's basically just cold damage. Shouldn't be that hard to set this up, especially when you'd add 3 mods in and it goes from 5 cold damage to 65. That's an extra 60 damage. That's 12 or 13 times its standard damage. But even looking at the stats of it, the fact that it has 100 shields, 100 power, 200 health and 50 armor, that's exactly the same stats as Carrier, Death Cube, Jin, Shade, and the Sniper one, De Rigger, whatever it's called. They have 350 health but 50 shields, but Worm also shares the same stats as Helios, which shares the same stats as Taxon, which was weird, because I've probably had Taxon die a few times more than I have other Sentinels. I thought it was weaker at first until I actually went back and looked at the stats for this thing, because it basically meant by putting in max health, max shields and max armor, it was 105 armor, 640 health, 375 shields. Didn't really seem that much, considering I tend to play as Frost and I'm inside of the bubble a lot of the time on defense missions and the such. I thought it would die quicker, but did this mission and yeah, I just put the weapon away and ran around and let the Sentinel have fun. Considering this was the baby Sentinel, I did find the weapon and the ability to have overshields from the molecular conversion, which once maxed, its enemies within 10 meters convert 200 damage into shields. Yeah, that's actually a fairly decent mod. I was really weirded out the first time I seen it give us overshields, because I thought, oh, there's a Trinity, nothing else, carried on, and then when we left realised hang on, there was no Trinity in there, why did I have overshields? And it was, if I'm honest, about 3 games before I realised it was the Sentinel giving me overshields. That is an extremely useful ability for a Sentinel to have, especially considering this is the baby Sentinel. This is the first one that in theory you should build. It's on the first junction, it's the first blueprint you'll get. It's kind of a free blueprint once you do that junction, so really, really insanely useful Sentinel. The fact it didn't have any polarities meant I only really put 2 Ds on it for enhanced vitality and calculated redirection, which is maxed health and shields. I'm fighting the urge to put another D on for max armor, just to make it survive a little bit better. But I'm gonna wait off for a bit, even though I'm probably gonna leave this Sentinel equipped. See how the whole, well, that's something else a bit later on. When it came to the weapon though, the R-Tax, I couldn't really get used to this thing. I unfortunately formatted D onto it and a V, which means I messed up because I built it for the ice damage without this split chamber in there, but I threw that in anyway. And I formatted D onto it and completely messed it up, because now to keep it fairly powerful, the only thing I can really do is turn it into a viral based weapon. It adds a little bit more, adds some status to it, and its cold effect seems to be built into it. The beam is ice based, because even though I was running around with it as this build on, I'm still kind of playing with it, I realised that it's actually not that bad of a weapon. I just really messed up by putting the D on it. I should have left that, or maybe put a V on and dropped split chamber in, or heavy caliber, considering it's a beam, wasn't such a good idea. But combustion beam, enemies killed explode, dealing 100 damage, yeah, that is a mod that should go really well on this weapon. If I was going to build this weapon up properly, I would probably go for 2 Vs and 2 dashes, possibly 2 Vs, the D, and 2 dashes if you were going for more of a blast radiation thing, because you knock them over and then make them fight for you, or fight people around them if you back off a bit. And of course the 2 dashes would be for full-blown elemental mods like Infested Clip instead of Malignant Force, because it gives an extra 30% elemental damage per mod. As a baby Sentinel, this thing is actually really useful. It doesn't have too much health, it doesn't have too much shields, it can give a fairly nice amount of overshields. I mean, I've got 1,200 extra shields compared to the 1,600 and something that Frost has with the Primed Vigor in there, so 1,200 overshields from a Sentinel. This is actually a really useful Sentinel. Maybe, I don't want to say too useful for a entry level Sentinel, remembering that this is supposed to be the first Sentinel in the game that you actually get. That was the whole point of it. It actually makes Sentinels really useful, because its survivability isn't really up there. It will die fairly quickly, so regen isn't really a must, but the fact that you have to put a fair few former in means that the Sentinel is actually a fairly decent thing. But we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch yous next time.